Hey guys, in this video we'll be talking about, can I acquire mortgage with bad credit score? Can I acquire a mortgage with bad credit score? The term credit score might seem strange to so many of us, and a divide whereby the term credit score is not in use most of the time. So, but in the long run, it functions. So, credit score is a numerical representation of a person's credit worthiness. So it is a numerical representation, which means it has to deal with numbers, an aggregation of numbers of your worthiness to pay back that which you owe or which you've borrowed. Now we have series of credit institutions that lend out money to individuals, depend on what they want to do with the money, and then they give you on installments whereby you can refund the money on monthly basis. Now, the more they lend you money, the more your credit score increases. So it is a numerical representation. But when it becomes a bad credit score is when you default in your payments. It is when you default in your payment. We have series of credit institutions. But the moment you collect a loan or you collect a credit from this particular institution and you fail to pay, it is broadcasted across other credit institutions. So the moment you go to acquire or to request for a loan or a credit from other banks or other institutions, they will reject it. They will reject it. Why? Because you have defaulted. Your credit worthiness has been compromised. So credit score is very, very important when acquiring a mortgage. Not only a mortgage, when acquiring a loan from a bank to pursue any endeavor that you plan on going after. So many people, they have made this mistake whereby they took credit and they failed to pay back, or they have a credit card and after using the money on the credit card they fail to refund the money back, and which puts a dent in their credit image, and that makes it difficult for them to get access to credit in the financial institutions. Now, this mistakes has led to so many people disbanded from even getting as low as even 200 euros worth of credit. Why? Because they feel or they see you as a threat, and they feel that you might not pay back that credit. In diaspora, the system is built on credit. The financial institutions are all built on credit. So whatever you are doing is based on credit. You can buy a house and the rest will be on credit. You can buy a phone on credit. You can buy a car on credit. So it has been made so much easy to get whatever you want on credit. But the bottom line is that so many people also default when repaying back these credits. That has led to the system, the stringent and the harsh means in which they lend out credits to individuals. Because why? They feel that certain people, when they get involved, they will not pay back. That is why when you go to acquire for a credit, they prefer to start you with something very little. And when you're able to pay it, they increase it bit by bit. And the more they increase it, the more your credit score continues to increase. The more you keep paying, the more your credit worthiness begins to show forth, and the more your credit score begins to increase, which means you have a more higher chance to getting financial assistance from any financial institution. So to as many that have gotten themselves entangled in this, not being able to pay back, not being able to meet up, probably due to work issues, mobility issues, and all those stuff, and they've been grounded. Because when you default in your credit payment, you'll be grounded for 10 years, no access to any credit assistance. So for you to be able to get access to this credit when you have a bad credit score, your worthiness has been dented, the first thing you have to do, you have to investigate. You have to investigate with loans for those people with bad credits. So you have to do your own research to know, okay, what are the things for those who have bad credits? Because there's always a way out to any situation you find yourself. It might be tough, but there's always a way out. So the first way out you need to do for those that have bad credit, probably you bought something you couldn't pay back, you did something and you're not able to pay back, and then you'll be disbanded and all that. The first thing you have to do, you make inquiries, you make research and investigate the institutions that also give out to those with bad credits. And also you have to make contact with your local bank. Make contact with your local bank to see if there could be a compromise or any flexible means for you to get in this financial assistance. And we also have some flexible lenders that are a bit flexible. Even though you have a bad record or a bad credit score, they might also be of assistance to you. Another thing again, you have to register with a mortgage broker. You register with a mortgage broker. Now, a mortgage broker are people who are involved in helping others to acquire a mortgage from a bank or a financial institution. That is their work. So their sole job is to help you acquire a mortgage from a bank. So which means your physical presence is not necessarily needed in the bank. They do all the paperwork, all the requests, submit all the forms until the bank approves it. So if you are seeking to get a mortgage and you have this bad record, it is best, in as much as you've spoken to the local bank, it is best and more better to go to a mortgage broker and then you explain things to them. They are in the best position to understand and to know the institutions that are more flexible to attend to you. Another thing you have to put in mind when you have a bad credit score is that any loan that the bank or any financial institution will give to you might be more expensive when you have this bad credit score. It might be more expensive. Let's take, for instance, you have a bad credit score and you are requesting for a loan. They might end up giving you that loan. If they are flexible, they can give you for 4%. And if there's someone else with good credit score, good record, go to that same institution and request for the same amount which I requested and I was given for 4%, they might end up giving that person for 3%. So these are the things that these credit scores do to us, whether you know it directly or indirectly, or whether you are conscious or not. So you may be stuck with a higher interest required for the duration of this mortgage. It is also a best bet, rather than waiting for the time frame of the 10 years to elapse before the bank or the institution consider you worthy enough to start you with something. It is also best or better to go with something of a little bit higher interest. So for those that have a bad credit score, there's a possibility that your interest rate for the duration of your mortgage, if approved, will be much more higher than those with good credit scores. And it also applies to those who have little credit scores or who their credit scores are of minimum. There are some people, they've not even utilized any of these credit institutions or this credit syndrome or whatsoever we call it. They've not experienced it. They've not even involved themselves in acquiring things on credit, paying back on installment to boost up their credit score. Sometimes when you just go to the bank and request for a mortgage, they tend to check your background and see if you have any credit history. The moment they see you don't have a credit history, your interest also increases. But when you have a good credit history, your interest comes down for the duration and the period of the mortgage or the loan or thereabout, whatever you want to do with the funds. So that is for those with bad credit scores. Your interest might be high compared to those with good credit scores. So for you to improve on your credit scores, you must pay any outstanding or incoming invoice properly. You must pay. Even if you buy something or you've bought something that the installment is small, and then you just have to pay it. That is a way to build your credit score. You just have to pay it. If you've defaulted in any of these areas, you have to go back because it will affect you in the long run. It will affect you in the long run. So always pay that which you own or that which you owe to these credit institutions. Sometimes it can be heart-wrenching where, let's take for instance, you go buy a phone and you bought it on credit to be paying instrumentally, and at a point in time the phone just gets damaged beyond repair and you get upset. I won't pay the remaining balance anymore. It has happened to so many people. In most cases, they just, due to anger and all that, they stop paying. They might not come and drag you, or they might not come and force you to pay, but it will affect your credit history in the long run. So you must examine your credit reports for any mistakes. Sometimes we might think we have finished paying our credits or our loan that we collected from all these financial institutions on things we did, and then we stop paying. We just assume, or sometimes we might forget that, okay, we still have maybe one payment or two or thereabouts to go, and we felt that we've already concluded the payment, and then we stop paying. Sometimes it happens. So what you need to do in this scenario, if you've ever bought something on credit to be paying instrumentally, you have to examine your credit reports if there is any mistakes or any lapses. So you need to go to your local bank and request for a credit report, and then they will give you your credit report to see if you have defaulted in any payments. So please, my advice to anyone, wherever you are in this part of the world, always pay your credits. That which you owe, always pay it. Even when you feel that what you bought with it has been damaged beyond repair, you're not using it anymore, just try and close the payments. It will help you in the long run. Because the credit institution is vast, because the world operates in credit. When I mean credit, debt. So for you to achieve anything financial wise, your credit report will be brought out. It's just like someone who is applying for something and then they ask you, go and bring a police report. Why? Because they want to check your criminal history. If there is any point in time where you've gone against the law. Same also, the credit works that way. The credit institution and other financial institution works that way. When you're applying for something, they will have to go through your credit history to see if you've ever defaulted in any areas at all. And that might have an impact in your pursuit for either your mortgage or to get a loan to do your business or thereabouts. So these are the tips to guide as many that have defaulted in paying their credit, or those that have a bad credit history. All hope is not lost. Thank you and God bless.